Okay, so we're recording. Okay, so welcome to the call tonight. Tonight we're going over goal setting. This is a great topic because this encompasses every aspect of life, right? It's not just doTERRA and it's not just work, because this is something that we should all make a part of our lives in every aspect. So let's throw it out real quick. So what, well, obviously first let's start, I guess, with why is goal setting important? Does anybody have anything they want to throw out there? There's all kinds of really cool quotes on this, like without a goal, what is it? It's just a, your dream is just a wish. Does anybody have any other ones that they've heard?
What?
Okay, so basically it's just going to put your plan in action, right? So that you actually end up getting your end result. Accountability, Minnow says, yes, absolutely. So, okay, so what are some areas of your life that you could set goals on or that within? So like we talked about work, doTERRA. What are some other ones that could be?
Finances.
Households, Kaylee says. What'd you say? Finances, Stacy says. Fitness, Minnow said. Yeah, so many aspects here. You could do your spiritual health. You can do your what'd she say? Oh, your love life. Yes, absolutely. Relationships, different relationships. That can for sure be an aspect of your goals. And relationship with your kids, that can be in there as well. Hobbies can be included in there, like things that you want to do, whether it's travel or something that you want to, like, say you want to make a quilt or you want to travel to Hawaii or whatever. Any of those things can be in there. Or books that you want to read. You want to read 10 books a year or something, 12 books a year, whatever. Let's see, what are some other ones? Stacy, can you think of some other ones I'm missing? I feel like I just missed a few big ones.
Well, I was going to say travel, but you included that.
Oh, okay, and hobbies.
With
okay.
that. Health issues like the hiking. My hiking was on there.
That's true. That was yeah, and that would kind of go in with fitness, but you could do physical health at all, right? It could be like whether it's your weight or nutrition or diet. Those could all be in there.
Did you do spiritual stuff?
Yeah, so I said spiritual health. So yeah, that could be in there as well. And then some of it is also like personal development, like something that you want to become better at. So, or whether it's a fear that you want to overcome, or an attribute that you want to improve upon, or that you want to develop, or you wish you had, or you wish you were better at. So those are all different things that can be incorporated into your goals. So we're going to talk a little bit tonight about, I should say the reason that we're talking about goal setting is a few reasons here. Number one is September really does seem to be like this new kind of New Year's, if you will. So kids start back to school. It's just with the fall, it just seems to be this whole new sense of routine. And then with that comes this like, ooh, I'm going to start this, and I'm going to start this, and I'm going to start this. Like you have all these new things that you want to implement in your schedule and routine. Sorry, just a minute. I want to pull up one thing on my notes here so that I don't forget. So that's part of it, is the time of year. And the other thing is so with that, we have Stacy is going to be teaching next week. She's going to be teaching about vision boards. And vision boards are incredible and amazing how fast and easy and well they work. And Stacy has had a tremendous amount of success using vision boards over the last, would you say 2 years, Stacy, that you've been doing it?
Well, I've had a vision board for 2 years, but the first year I had it, I wasn't really fully vested into it, and I
Okay.
tweaked it and made some changes to it. And so this last year, I've
Was
really
your biggest
had
year? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Stacy, and she'll share, I don't want to like give too many things away, but she has had some amazing accomplishments that she's been able to do through her vision board. And anyway, she's like, I consider her the expert in this area. Anyway, so I'm so excited that she's agreed to lead us in that next week. And then the week after that, Mano will be giving us some insights and teaching us on ideal life vision, which really goes hand in hand with the vision boards. And like I said, all of this wraps around goal setting. So an ideal life vision is basically you write a script of how you want your life to be, but in the present tense. And you write it, you record it, and then you listen to it daily. Anyway, but there's some tricks and tips on how to write it and the areas that you write it on. And Mano just took that training, and she is offered. I took it, but mine was a few years ago. She's taken it recently, so she's probably got more up to date, recent, better information than I do. So, and this is a bigger sacrifice. This is not bigger. This is a big sacrifice for her because she's on East Coast with me, and you guys, it's like 10 o'clock here. This is way past our bedtime. So we appreciate her being willing to teach that. So anyway, so that will be, Minnow says that's why she's hiding because it's so late. I definitely wanted to be in my pajamas by now, but 6 o'clock comes early. Anyway, so so that's what we have going on and why I wanted to do goal setting tonight. Okay, so I put this picture up there on today. So goal setting, the SMART, and Janet, I love that you said you guys do this at work. So this is just a great little guide or whatever way to set goals. So having something, so they do the SMART just so that you remember the acronym, but basically it's having something that's specific. So for instance, you can't just say, I want to earn more money. You need to say, I want to earn $1,000 more a month or whatever it is. It needs to be specific. Okay. So it can't be just a vague thing because otherwise you would never achieve it, right? If it's not a specific thing. And then with that is measurable. So is it something that you can measure? So it'd be hard for me to say, I want more people on my doTERRA team if that was something that I could never measure and I didn't know. That's not a good example though, because that is something you can measure. But I'm having a hard time thinking of something. But anyway.
You can't just say like, I want to be healthy.
Yes, there you go. Thank you, Stacy. I'm like, I can't think of an example. Yeah, so it needs to be something that's measurable. So yeah, you can, instead of saying I want to be healthy, you could say I want to eat 5 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. Like that could be a measurable goal. And then attainable, right? Making sure it's realistic. It is something that you can actually do, like physically possible and, and realistic too, right? Like you don't want to be setting a goal for something that could never happen because then you're setting yourself up for failure. So you want to make it something realistic. And then
although I do want to say something with that though.
Oh yeah.
Because what's realistic to one person may not be realistic to another.
Oh, absolutely.
So you can push your boundaries a little bit with that.
Yes. So I guess I'm saying I should rephrase. I should make that a little bit more clear. Okay. So okay, well, it's not attainable for me to, hit presidential diamond in 30 days. Like that's not attainable. It's not realistic. So I'd be setting myself up for failure. So yeah, is that better?
Yeah.
Okay.
Make a stretch, but not so far stretched.
Yeah, you want to stretch yourself, but not to the impossible. Yeah, exactly. And then the R is relevant. So you want to make sure that it's something that aligns with your goals and your your vision, right? So that it makes sense and kind of goes along with everything else. Like, it doesn't make sense for me to have a goal to have a book published if that has nothing to do with anything else that I've got going on in my life. And then the last is time bound. So to put it in a time frame, like, if we're talking about weight loss or whatever, say, okay, I want to lose 5 pounds in 5 months. So by, and give a date to it. So by February 21st, 2018, I want to weigh, whatever it is. So yeah, having a time frame on there. Okay, so let's see. Kaylee said, doing that can really dampen your self-worth outlook too, setting a goal so far unrealistic that, yeah, and that can do a lot of self-worth damage. Yes, absolutely. So true. Yep, because then you feel like you're a failure, but you set yourself up for failure. You never could have done it in the first place. So yeah, and then another thing along with that, which we have talked about a little bit before, but I wanted to just touch on it again, is to set up, because I have such a hard time with goal setting because I am I'm a recovering perfectionist. And so I have a hard time when I would set a goal and then I couldn't reach it, because then I became a failure. And then I couldn't even tell anybody what my goals were because I was so afraid of anybody else knowing what the goals were and that I didn't reach them. And then they would know that I was a failure. So, and Stacy says that's why she struggles with dates. I have had this struggle for years and years and years. So I take a deep breath, remind myself that if I don't hit this at this time, this does not mean I'm a failure, right? It means that I have pushed myself to get further than I would have otherwise. And I need to pat myself on the back for that and give myself credit and move on and set the next goal. But anyway, here's another kind of thing that has helped me through that I'm going to pass on. And like I said, we've talked about this before a little bit, so sorry for those of you who've heard it already. But it's just setting high, low, and medium goals. So if you have a low goal of, okay, if I can meet this low end goal, then I know I won't be a complete failure. Okay? Like, okay, I know if, I'll talk about enrollments. I know if I can get 1 enrollment in this month, I know I can do that. That is my safe goal. And I know that if I reach that, I will not be a failure. My mid-range goal is 3 enrollments. That's what I would really like to land on, is 3 enrollments this month. And my out of this world goal is going to be 5. So if I get 5, wow, I'm going to know that I really, really rocked it. So that is helpful because most of the time you'll end up landing in the middle because you have this far-fetched one and your safe one. But having the safe goal keeps you from feeling that failure thing that can come on. So anyway, so that's just a little tip if that helps you. And for some people that doesn't help because then they feel like they kind of have an escape, so they don't have to reach any further. So, but you know what's going to work for you. So that's just a little tidbit of something that I've done that's helped a little bit. Okay, so this was kind of the last little thing that I had was with your goal, with whatever it is, and this isn't rocket science, right? But this is find a way that you can break it up into smaller goals and smaller increments throughout that time. So for instance, say I want to be, silver by April, 2018. Well, I'm going to break up my goal to have my first elite leg built by December and my second elite leg built by March or whatever, right? So that wouldn't work out because that's not the right month. So I was trying to break it out evenly. That didn't help. But anyway, but you get the point, so that you're breaking it out into smaller goals and then break those out even more, so that you're like, okay, then that means this week I need to teach this many classes. And that I need to contact one person a day, or, you know, whatever it is. I'm just using this as an example, but to break it out into smaller chunks, because that's good, I think, because it helps keep you on the right path, and it helps you seeing that the goal really is realistic, that you can do it, and keeps you with the right momentum. Because otherwise you can set this goal and say, oh, this is what I want to do. You know, I want to save $1,000 or whatever, right? I want to put away $1,000, but then never saving any until you get to your deadline, and then being like, oh darn, we're a month away. Now I've got to crunch it all in and save up that money that I put in there for my goals that I wanted to achieve. So spread it all out. It will make it easier and attainable. What do you want to say, Stacey?
Another good thing about breaking it up is you get small wins on the way to victory.
Yes.
You know, you get those every time you hit like $100, $200. If you're putting $1,000 away,
Yeah.
That's your small victory. It's encouraging. It keeps you motivated, and have a little reward for yourself.
Absolutely.
You know, hit that. And so that's why it's good to break it down into smaller goals, because
Yes.
you have those little wins. That
Absolutely.
Keep you motivated.
And then it builds your confidence and your belief that you can achieve your big and ultimate end goal, right? So for sure, yeah, I'm a huge advocate of breaking it up into smaller chunks. Makes it so much easier. In fact, Brent and I just did our goals, and I kind of broke it up, and now I need to break it up even smaller, so that we're filling the gap, right? We're going from here, this is where we are, and this is where we want to go, and what needs to happen in between. And let's break that up into chunks and divide it out the time to figure out what it is that we need to do exactly, so we can be super specific about it. So anyway, okay, well, cool. Well, that was all I had. So tell me any questions anybody has, or anything that you've done that you'd like to pass on with goal setting. Looks like everybody's muted, but you can unmute yourself because I didn't mute you.
I'll ask that anybody that's planning on doing the Zoom call with us next Thursday, that write down your goals before then, because if you have them written down before then, it's going to make next week a lot easier for you to be organized in order to do it.
I am so glad you said that.
Yeah, and make sure that you bring have a couple pieces of paper and a pencil on hand for next week.
I'm so glad you said that. Let's post that again too, like in the group.
I will.
Yeah, for sure. I'm so glad you said that, because I was like, hello, that's obviously the whole reason I wanted to do this call tonight, and then I'm like forgetting the most important part.
It's all good. Well,
So,
and when
yeah.
you write your goals down, it sticks in your head a little bit better.
Yeah.
And it organizes them. I mean, you can have them stuck in your head, but writing them down on paper makes them a little more realistic. And I'm going to ask that you do 9 goals for next week. So you can write as many down as you want, and then find the 9 most specific goals that you want. If
Do you want them
come
in
up with
different
9,
categories or no?
Categories don't matter. No,
Okay.
Categories don't matter. I just want 9 goals that you want. If you can't come up with 9, that's okay. As long as you have 1 goal, that's all you need. But if you're like me and have a whole bunch of goals, find your 9 goals that you want the most right now.
Perfect. Good. Thank you. I'm so glad you said that. And then actually when Minnow does it, we'll have to have her post in there, because I think hers would be a little bit more with categories.
And we'll go over that a little bit next week too.
Okay.
But right now
That's what you want, or the 9.
Just
okay.
the 9. Yeah. Write any goals down. That's why I'm like, you can write as many down as you want, because we will go over a section on categories next week.
Cool. Yay. I'm so glad you said that, Stacey. Thank you for being like the rest of my thought that I had.
No problem.
That I didn't have. Okay, so Lorraine commented here in the chat. She said, I found a book, Mini Habits Helps with getting started. It says to make a little tiny commitment that you won't welch on. For example, I'll do 1 sit-up every day no matter what. Who cannot do that? So it gets you in the habit, and most times you end up doing more, but the fact that you only had to do 1 makes you buy in, which is what makes the habit. Then you can increase your goals. So true. So true. It's all about exercising the habit muscle, right? And yeah, and giving yourself that confidence. Absolutely. It's totally what it comes down to. And lot two of me is I'll think, oh my gosh, if I can just get through 3 weeks, right? Because they say 21 days takes to make a habit. So I'm like, oh, I can just muscle through those first 3 weeks, then this will be a piece of cake. But yeah, that's true. Thanks to Lorraine for sharing that. That's so good. Yeah, and Minnow said her problem is focusing on only 9 for goals.
No, write them all down. I have kind of a wish list of what I want on my vision board.
Oh, that's so good.
I've got my wish list goals, and then I've got my 9 that I'm focusing on the most on my vision board. And then I don't know how many I've got in my life vision, probably 8 or 9. But I don't know if I'm doing my life vision right. So I'm really looking forward to Minnow
that's good.
on her class with that, because I really didn't know much till retreat in May when was it Ann Webb that spoke to us about it. And so I'm kind of just going off that little discussion that she had with us.
Yeah, that was good. Okay, and Lorraine says yes, she wants to do too many things. Who knows how to prioritize? Is that part of being realistic? I think. Go ahead, Stacey. What are you gonna say?
Lorraine, next week, if you want to categorize it, there will be help for that, because one way to do a vision board is in categories, and we'll talk about that so that you can find your 9 biggest ones, one for each category, and then have your little wish list. So when you get to take something off your vision board, then the next wish list goes on there. You already know what it is, and you can get it up and going on there.
Because a lot of our goals go in order, right? And they kind of build on each other. Would you guys say that's true? Janet's shaking her head. Yeah.
A lot of mine are.
Yeah. I know mine do too. I'm like, okay, yeah, I do want to do that, but I know I want to do this first. So, and I did that with one book that I really liked on goal setting and stuff like that was the 12-week year. Did you read that one, Stacey?
I read that one. I loved the concept of it, but don't know how to apply it in my life right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And there were a lot of things I took away from it, but I don't necessarily like the idea of doing my life like that, because for me that's a little too intense for it. But
a lot of mine is I want to do that with my business, but my business is still small enough that I didn't know how to simplify it enough for how simple my business is right now. I mean, as I grow, I love the ideas. I think that would be really great for people that are like silvers and golds and maybe even elites. And, just as they grow, there's some really, really wonderful concepts there.
Yeah.
But I'm just not quite to that point yet.
Yeah, I can totally see what you're saying. Yeah. So for me, I had a hard time implementing it too, just for that reason, because I had too many other, when I was first introduced to it, I had too many other things that were going on, right? I was trying to sell my house. I was trying to move my family across the country. I was like, my 12-week year is like moving my family. I can't do anything else. So, but anyway, the part that I loved about it was they have you write out, what do you want your life to be in 2 years? What do you want it to be in 5 years? What do you want it to be in 10 years? What do you want it to be in 20 years, 30 years, whatever, so that then you can look at that one. And they say really picture it out. Like, how old will you be? How old will your kids be? How long will you have been married? Where do you think you'll be living? Like all of those things. And then write down exactly what it is that you want your life to be at that point, so that then you can go backwards and go, okay, look at this. In 20 years, if I want to be whatever it is, traveling the world, but I'm never saving money for that, or whatever it is, or getting my passport, or, whatever, little baby steps, right? Then how is that ever going to happen? So anyway, I liked it because it just really put it it put it in perspective for me, because I realized that there were things that I wanted to do 20 years from now, but I wasn't doing anything now or in the next few years to make it so those things later on would happen. So, I'm sorry, I'm reading the chat. Okay, Lorraine, what you got going on over here? I have too many areas in my life that need an overhaul. Start with which? I'll be so old it won't matter. Oh, goodness. Okay, Janet's headed to bed. And yeah, Stacy says, Lorraine, you're never too old for goals, and you can always make some happen. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, anyway, but those are things to think about, because I had never thought of that concept or idea until I'd read the 12-week year. I never really considered about, do my long-term goals, do I have anything in place to make those happen now? Am I headed in the right direction? So that was a good aha moment for me.
I forgot about that part of it. I was just thinking about the
that was my biggest takeaway from it. I love.
Well, that's a good one, because I know that's something I've implemented in the last year because of things that I want 11 years from now. I'm eligible for retirement in 11 years, and I'll be young, but I can't make that happen unless I have certain things in place before that happens financially. And that's what I'm working on right now. That's part of the reason so many of my vision board goals are financial goals. You know, first of all, I've got to get out of debt. I'm almost there. And then I have to have a certain amount of money put away for emergencies. And then I have to have a certain amount of money put away for retirement. And, you know, that just doesn't happen overnight. That's stuff I have to have in my goals right now for something I want in 11 years.
Yeah. And because you have a specific time frame, right? It's time bound.
So and I have an outline for it. The steps that I need to take for it.
It's perfect so that you can do what you want to do. So yeah. Okay. So Lorraine says, what are your top things to break down this idea for setting your goals? Write down everything, like brainstorming, then pick from that. Yeah. So like, you're talking about breaking down the steps, right, of your goal?
I kind of think she might be just.
Or like she brainstorming about all goals in that one area?
Even just to come up with what to start with. I mean, again, you have so many things that, you know, you've got health issues or whatever that you want to work on. You have financial issues. You have family issues, you have household issues, you have all these different things. I have a big board, but it's only so big.
Right.
Well, and you can't have too much on your board either, because it's overwhelming if you do. Can I tell you what I did? Because I was in that same predicament when I got started on my vision board. I'm like,
that's what it is. It's overwhelming,
right.
Yeah, I didn't even know how to narrow it down. So what I did is I just got out a notebook and I just spent about half an hour, because I had a lot, just writing everything down that came to my mind, everything I could possibly want on it, realistic, unrealistic, things I thought were possible, things I wanted and never thought I'd reach. And I had 2 or 3 pages of this stuff, but then I could start, once I got everything down that I could think of written down, I could start seeing patterns. And once I started seeing patterns, I started seeing the types of things that were the most important to me. Financial was a huge one for me in a lot of different aspects. Family life, things I wanted with my family, things I wanted on my spiritual goals, things I wanted, you know, and it was a whole bunch of little things, but I could find my categories. And once I could find these patterns, I put things in categories. And then once I had things in categories, it was a lot easier for me to focus on just that category and say, okay, out of these 10 things under my spiritual goals, these are the top ones that I want to work on. And that brainstorm in the notebook is what got me my vision board wish list, is what I call it. And so that's what I did. I don't know if that would work for everybody, but that was really helpful for me to narrow it down.
I think that's a great idea. I like that, Stacy. I think it's good because everybody's categories are even going to be different.
Exactly.
So would you
Lorraine,
limit
we'll
it
talk about that next
to
week.
3-ish? Oh. Yeah, so
9.
just get it all. So this week, just get it out all on paper and see if you can come up with
I mean,
categories
if you're-
even. Don't you think, Stacey?
Say that again.
So even for this week, if she can just get it all out on paper and see if she can narrow it down to categories.
Yes.
Like maybe you don't have anything in spiritual
biggest
health, but
goals.
maybe you've got something with your kids you've got relationships with your kids, and then you've got financial, and then you've got travel, whatever it is.
And don't feel like you even need to take it down to categories. Right now, just write it all down. Everything that comes to your mind, just spend a few minutes. I know that can be hard with little ones running around your house, but just write it down. Sit down and just take 10, 15 minutes and write everything down you can think of in that time. And you're going to be able to start seeing some patterns. But as far as breaking it down anymore, if you're not ready to do that, we'll talk about that more next week. And I'm sure that Minot will talk about it with the Life Vision too.
Yeah. This is so good. This all goes hand in hand, and I love it.
Because 9 things. You're talking about 9 things, 9 different things, or 9 things with maybe between a couple of categories, or 9 things.
Just 9 things.
We will break that down next week. I will go so far as to say your vision board, the vision board that I do, you're going to be breaking down into 9 sections. And for some people, I'm going to give an option to have 9 categories in there. There's like one for wealth, one for spiritual, one, there's just these different categories. I personally don't do well with the categories because I feel that there's too much that I want in very specific categories. So I just have 9 sections. If you get more than about 9 goals on your vision board, it's very overwhelming for your mind and a lot harder to invite into your life. And so that's why it's good to have that wish list, because then you'll know how to break it down a little bit better. And you may have to experiment a little bit and find out what works, but we'll talk about a lot more about that next week.
That's good. Okay, does anybody have any other more questions or comments? Okay, I'm going to stop the recording.